Hey y'all, I'm Mackenzie Wiles, and I'm here to talk to y'all today about how translation is a form of ministry. So I work at the High Point University Pro Bono Physical Therapy Clinic this summer, and that is where we provide care to patients who don't have access to insurance. So we get a wide variety of populations, and many of those are Spanish-speaking, and part of my job there is to translate for those Spanish-speaking patients. And when Preston first reached out to me about this to ask how this work has changed me, I was like, no, I cannot do that. That's not what this is. But then I started to think about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, there's something more to this. Translation is really a form of ministry and service. And the verse that came to my mind when I was planning this is Matthew 25, verses 35 through 37. And those say, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Whatever you did of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." We are called to serve those who are unseen. Some of these patients at the clinic are hungry, just like the people in Matthew 25, but they're not hungry for food, they're hungry for a connection. Translating for these patients really gives you a unique opportunity to form a relationship with someone who usually doesn't get the opportunity to form close relationships with people because of that language barrier. So Dr. Alicia Emerson, who works at the Pro Bono Physical Therapy Clinic, actually has a story that kind of correlates with this that she told me when I was talking to her, and I want to share that with y'all. And she was in church a few years ago, and part of her minister's training at her church was to spend a week at a homeless shelter. And at the end of it, one of the participants said, "Well, what was the point of this? We didn't change anything. They're still homeless." And the educator replied, "Well, it's not about that. It's about how you've changed and your empathy." And I found that when you serve, you get a lot more out of it, even more than the people you're serving. The relationships with these patients have transformed me. Connecting with them in their language really brings a different kind of light to their face. And the patients have definitely taught me a lot about listening and understanding and empathy. And I've learned that someone understanding you is the deepest form of human connection. Jesus wants us to be in relationship with one another and build relationships. We weren't made to be alone. And in our fast-paced society, we often forget, or most of the time always forget, how to genuinely connect and listen to people. And the clinic and the patients have really taught me how to slow down and listen, and the importance of listening. And something that I'm continuing to work on, and I think everybody in our society should work on, is listening. And through that listening, those meaningful relationships that we crave are formed. And to wrap this up, I'm reminded of the St. Francis prayer that Preston actually sent me. And it's just one part in the St. Francis prayer I want to share. And it's, "Grant that I may not so seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, and to be loved as to love."